I hope you guys enjoyed the break. And now we will be having now from 10 o'clock to 10:45 airline pilots, still with Palesa, Pilot Terry, with our guest speakers as Refile Motshehwa.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much, Giliwe, for that intro. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, the airline pilots. I think by far this is one of my most favorite segments. As a kid, I wanted to be an airline pilot so badly. That's the only thing I ever dreamed of. I think I was about 5 years of age when I first went to Jan Smuts International Airport and I saw this Boeing 747 take off and I thought, oh my word, I need to understand how on earth flying happens. How on earth does such a big machine end up in the sky? And so I'm very, very privileged to actually be interviewing somebody with such high accolade. I mean, Refilo Mochecha, she's an airline pilot. She's an Oryx helicopter pilot. She's a drone pilot. She's got a BCom in business management in aviation. She's a mentor. Refilo, your resume just off the roof. I don't even know where to begin. Good morning, Refilo. How are you?
Good morning, Terry. I'm good, thanks, and you?
I'm very well, thank you. So thank you so much for joining us. Refilo, you look like a 12-year-old. Can you explain to me when actually you started flying? How do you have so many achievements?
Okay. Good morning. Good morning to the viewers. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm actually so happy to be on this platform. Yes, of course.
Yay.
And just before I begin, I mean, I'm just so happy that you guys have this initiative. It's great because when some of us were in high school or just entered the industry, there was nothing like this, you know. So I think this is amazing what you guys are doing. It's great for aspiring pilots and those that have just entered the industry. So well done, guys.
Thank you so much.
Okie dokie. Let me share my screen and then I'll just take you through my journey.
Yes, please. That would be fantastic.
So anyway, my name is Refilwe Motsecha, and then married Moretsi. So I think still in between. But yeah, so I think everybody gets it confused, but my new surname is Moretsi, but my maiden name is Motsecha. And I'm an airline pilot. I'm also an ex-South African Air Force helicopter pilot and recently drone pilot. So where my journey into aviation, where it began at the age of 7. So I'm from Zanin, which is a small town in Limpopo. And when I was 7 years old, I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to be on a flight from Joburg to Durban. And funny enough, that was an SAA flight, and I got an opportunity to get on the flight deck. And I knew from that moment on that this is definitely what I want to do. And I mean, I've never changed my mind since I was 7 years old. And going back home and being in Limpopo, there wasn't a lot of like exposure to the aviation industry, but there were 2 or 3 air shows in the area. So I was lucky enough that I had very supportive parents. So my dad would take me to those air shows, and they would always encourage me. So they basically supported me throughout since I was 7 until I actually joined and made it into the industry. And then fast forward to matric, needed to choose like what to study. And we actually found that obviously, as we all know, that flying schools are quite expensive. So I ended up applying for aeronautical engineering because I thought that would maybe be the next best thing. And I got in. And well, I just wanted anything related to flying. It wasn't that I wasn't interested in engineering. I wasn't passionate about it. I just thought if I can't do the flying, let me at least go study something that's flying related.
Yes.
And then so the following year after matric, my mom and I were getting ready to go to, my mom was going to take me to Wits to race, just to begin my studies. And 2 days before, I asked my mom, you know what, this is not what I want to do. Is it possible if I could take a gap here, try to find funding for flying? And if I can't, then I'll study the following year. And without hesitation, my mom agreed because, I mean, she knew that this is what I wanted to do. And then, I mean, researching for funding back then wasn't as easier as it is right now. because I mean, we didn't have social media, access to the internet wasn't that.
Yes, internet wasn't there.
Yeah, and then but luckily I found an ad in the Sunday Times for pilot training in the Air Force. So I applied, and then I got called in for an interview, or called in for the selection process, because in the Air Force, it's a selection process where every day is a different type of test. And then if you make it through, you go to the next day and do the next test and so on. So it basically involves psychometric tests, which is different. I think someone had mentioned it earlier, which they test different parts from your maths. And basically they test your memory, they test your attention span, they test, and then we also did Vienna test, which is more like almost like a video game, but then they're basically testing your memory, your hand-eye coordination. So they're testing a lot of stuff. So as much as your academics can get you into the selection process, they actually test other stuff on top of that, because I think they just need to know that you're the right candidate for this type of profession, because it does involve a lot of other aspects besides academics, you know.
Yes.
And I made it all the way, then did my medicals. Medicals in the Air Force, there's a bit more tests that you do than the medicals in the civilian.
Civil aviation, yeah.
Yes, as much as they do check your eyes, they check your hearing. In the Air Force, you can't wear contact lenses or glasses when you join. But I think when you once you're in there, and then you do need glasses, it's fine. But for joining, they actually you need to have 20/20 vision. And then they also check your lung capacity. They check brain stress, stress tests on your heart, and they test so many things. And then they also check your height and your weight. And I was right on the limit for both. I was like, the minimum height is 1.6 meters in the Air Force, and I was 1.6 on the dot. And weight weight was 53, and I was like on the dot, like so,
you know how when they speak of destiny, you are that person.
I was like, my ancestors were like, no, we gotta
this is working, this is what she needs to do, no other way.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, and then made it through the medicals, and then the last day was an interview. Went through the interview phase, and I must say the interview was quite intimidating, because I didn't know much about aviation in general, let alone the military.
Yeah, I was about to ask actually.
Yeah, I didn't know much, and then actually I didn't know anything, and getting there, and the panel is white male. So do you understand how out of place you feel? And in the interview, just before you enter the room, all the other guys sitting there with you to do the interview, it's mainly white boys. So I did feel out of place. I felt intimidated, but you know what I said? Let me just go in and give it my best. And that went well. I mean, the questions they asked, luckily they didn't ask too much technical questions, because I think they knew you just starting out. So it's not like an airline.
Yes, thank heavens.
Airline, yeah. You should know so much.
You're expected to know everything in the airline.
Yes,
you're expected
exactly.
to understand. Yeah.
So anyway, fast forward few months, I thought I didn't get in because it's been so long. And then mid-year, I get a call on a Friday to start on Monday. And then that's how I started. Yes, just like that. Packed my life and started in the military. And then in the military, I also didn't know at the time, but you first a soldier before you're a pilot. So you have to do the military training part first, which is your basic military training. Then you do your officers formative training to become an officer in the Air Force. And on my first day or two, I was actually we had to like wear overalls and start running around and drilling, because it's all these like military physical stuff. And I was like, I was so scared to put up my hand and like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be flying, you know?
What is this that's happening? Why am I running around with weapons?
Yeah, like, no, this is where it begins, you know? So, but I really enjoyed that part. I mean, in the moment, you feel like no, but once you actually completed it, it was quite an amazing experience, you know. And then yeah, and then from there on, then I went to, then we do ground school. At the time, we're doing ground school at the military academy, but it was a year-long ground school because it was similar to your com subjects, but they were added on subjects where, because it was via Stellenbosch University. So we did other subjects like your first year subjects when you go to university. So we did maths and physics, and then our sort of the com subjects are integrated into aerodynamics. We had aerodynamics 1 to 4 and whatnot, all those numbers. Yeah, so we did all those subjects in that year. And then once you're done, then you go to Langebaan back in the Western Cape, and then that's where you start your flight training in the Air Force. So
yeah. So did you start off as a helicopter pilot in the Air Force?
I'll take you through my journey. This is where in the Air Force, this is where you start your training on this aircraft. It's a Pilatus PC-7 Astra. It's an amazing aircraft. I think pilot training in the military, it's world-class training. I mean, it's one of the best. And I mean, flying that aircraft, if you've been to air shows, you'll know the aircraft, it's the same aircraft flown by the Silver Falcons. Like the bottom left picture. So as part of our training, we do the basic flight training, but then as part of our training, we also do aerobatics. So all those aerobatic maneuvers that they do, we do the same. We just don't do it in formation. So yeah, we do all those maneuvers, loops, vertical eights, and then we fly inverted. So like the top left picture, fly inverted. I mean, the experiences and the memories from training on that aircraft are amazing. I remember one of my first few aerobatic flights, flying inverted and looking at Table Mountain upside down. It's like so surreal.
Oh my gosh.
Like so surreal. Like you're like, this can't be.
You don't know what you're doing to me. I literally feel like I'm talking to a celebrity. I'm awestruck. I can't close my mouth. Wow, man. Wow. I can only imagine the experience you're feeling as you're flying upside down. I mean, you were 7 years old when you first realized that you wanted to be a pilot, and now you're getting this opportunity to fly upside down. What?
Upside down. Like, who knew, you know? What? So yeah, that was amazing. I think, oh my word, that was amazing. So so this phase, it takes about a year to a year and a half, it depending on how the number of students on the course. Obviously, the more you are, we had a big course, and then obviously also dependent on the weather, but yeah, a year to a year and a half. But obviously, as I said, it includes aerobatics, it includes formation flying, it includes navigation. Our navigation was like low-level navigation, medium-level navigation, high-level navigation. So there were different like different aspects to it. And then yeah, and then I'll just show you a quick short video. We're flying in formation here. Well, I took the video, but at the time my instructor was flying, so don't worry, it was all done in safe.
Okay, you were safe. Wow.
Yeah, so that's one of like formation flying. That's how close you fly to the aircraft. So formation.
I was about to say that it's very close. It's very, very close actually.
Yeah, I mean, with that training, you had to be at a certain distance for your test. You can't be further out. And you can't be too close. But there's certain. So basically, that's how the Silver Falcons fly. But then they do aerobatics while in that formation.
Oh wow!
Like in that formation. And then we'd go like for our training, we'd do it like just 2 aircraft, and then it would be straight and level, but then we'll also do turns. So information is 1 turn, the other one turns, but it will be higher together.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, and then so then at the end of that qualified, you get your wings, it's more or less similar to commercial pilot's license. So in the Air Force, it doesn't work on the PPL, CPL, and stuff,
CPL
but
or
then
PPL, yeah.
it's almost a similar level. Although in terms of the training, you've done a bit more.
You've done far more. It sounds like far more.
Yeah. And then from here on, so you can choose, but then it's also chosen for you, but which line you want to follow. So it's either fixed wing, which is the transport line, the combat, which is the fighter line, or helicopter. So I choose helicopter because I just wanted to try something different.
Something new, yeah.
Yeah, something new. And this is what I started flying. I went on to fly the Oryx helicopter in the Air Force. Also another amazing aircraft. It's quite, in terms of like helicopters, it's quite big, it's very powerful.
Yeah.
It's involved in so many operations and missions in South Africa and in Africa. And just the picture on the left is when I landed on an oil rig. It's in the middle of the ocean.
Wow.
Off the coast of George. But what's amazing and actually challenging about landing on an oil rig is that the oil rig actually moves with the waves.
With the water. Oh,
with the water. So as you're coming into land, you have to like just steady hover and almost match the movement and land before it moves again. Because yeah, you obviously you can't land on a platform that's at this angle and you trying to land it.
Exactly. Yo.
Yes. So I mean, this one was an actual, it wasn't training, it was an actual operation, like an actual, you know. So obviously as part of our training, we go through all these training that actually prepares you for such. So like when you're learning how to hover, you have to like have a steady hover and hardly move, you know, like just inches and stuff. But then so other amazing stuff that you do, the Oryx or the operations I've been involved in is like your firefighting, flood relief, peacekeeping missions in the United Nations. I mean, with the United Nations in the DRC, mountain flying. I mean, with mountain flying, you do search and rescue. You know, sometimes hikers get injured maybe while hiking in the mountains somewhere. So obviously going to rescue them, you sometimes fly in between like mountains. So you also
mountains, in valleys, very tight valleys.
Very tight valleys. So you have to fly also very like steady and precise, hovering while you rescue that person, you know. So
you are an amazing woman. What? Wow. How did you end up getting into you fly for SAA now? How did you end up getting there from fixed wing in the military to helicopter pilots?
Yeah,
and now,
I just wanted to do it all. But okay, from this point, okay, let me just share a quick video and then I'll move on. So this video was in the DRC. This is near Goma, an active volcano. We're flying near an active volcano, basically. That's me on the flight.
Jeez.
Yeah. So anyway, from helicopters, then I decided to get first I got my commercial pilot's license on helicopters. Obviously from Air Force to civilian, you have to just write a few exams with the CAA and then you get the license, but most of the experience hours, everything you have is just basically like a conversion. And then I also then at the same time got my commercial pilot's license. And so with those two, then I just started, I found an opportunity, I applied for SA Express, and then that's how I joined the airline. Yeah. So I was there for 3 years, and then I moved on to SAA. Wow. So now I'm flying for SAA. I'm flying the Airbus A320 fly-by-wire aircraft. So very different to normal aircrafts, but also in a way, I might say in terms of flying, it is easier. but
Yeah.
it's all computers. So there's a lot of, it's mainly management. So, but it's all
Yes.
computers, and but it is a bit easier to fly, especially in like windy conditions, with your normal aircraft, you have to fight with that
You're
stuff when you're trying to
physically
land in
fighting.
you're literally
Exactly.
fighting. Yeah. With the Airbus, I mean, like, there's literally hardly no sweating. I mean, the control column is just minor movement.
Like a
It's almost like,
joystick.
yeah, it's like a joystick. It's almost like with the helicopter flying, it was also quite gentle movements.
Yes.
You don't have to fight. But with this one, it's, yeah, basically, but I enjoy flying it because it's a nice aircraft. And then, so basically, picture on the left is in the flight simulator. When you're in an airline, you go into the simulator every 6 months for training, especially on emergencies. So you get all these emergencies thrown at you, like engine failures, hydraulics, all these types of failures. Because obviously you don't wanna, if you get those failures in real life, you don't wanna be the first time you actually see those failures. So we actually
exactly.
practice. So
Yeah.
a nickname given to the simulator is actually called the hot box, because you just sweat in there. It's busy, like a 4-hour session of just, yeah. I'll actually be going back in the next week, because as you've seen that SAA, we're back in the air. So I'm going back in the next week to get back to flying. And
that is awesome stuff.
Yeah, and then the picture on the right, we just took off from Cape Town. It was a cloudy, overcast day, and we broke cloud and the sun was coming up. I mean, you can imagine the views. So that was like sunrise. So sunrise, sunset, gorgeous. I just love,
amazing.
I love the views.
Incredible.
And,
Incredible views.
Short clip of landing. It wasn't the full landing, but basically on an Airbus, this is how it looks. I was pilot flying into East London.
Wow. Sure.
Yeah, and then so basically when lockdown happened last year and we stopped flying, I had already started my degree. So it was a degree in a BCom business management degree, but with an elective stream in aviation management.
Yeah.
So I just completed that and graduated.
Where did you study that?
It's with the Da Vinci Institute.
Okay.
If you
Status Aviation.
Through Status Aviation at Da Vinci Institute. So it's actually at the moment the only place that's actually offering a BCom degree that's related to aviation. So quite a nice degree to study, actually, because I always wanted to study something, but I wanted to be within the industry. I wanted it to link up with what I'm doing already. So it was quite interesting, and I wanted to learn the business side of aviation, and it's a degree that I intend on using actually going forward, but I want to stay in the industry, so that's why I took that.
That's
and then
lovely. Sure.
I also got an opportunity to get my drone license, and that was through TITA. Actually my degree was also through TITA. I mean,
lovely. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, all my training in aviation has actually been through funding. I mean, the Air Force, I didn't pay for it.
Wow.
And then and then my degree was through TITA. The drone license or training was through TITA. So I mean, it's actually got, if you look out for those bursaries, it's actually it's actually something I think you should basically aim for, because if you don't pay for training, I mean, we all know how expensive it is. Yeah, we all know how expensive it is. So I think that's the best way of just constantly looking out for opportunities and grabbing it when you find it.
Yeah.
So
just to cut you off there. Sorry, Rufile, just to cut you off. I have a very important question to ask. You say all your training was funded. Your maths marks, what did they look like when you were in high school? Your maths and science marks. You sound like you were an A student.
I wasn't an A student, Okay, I was at school. I was like in the top 10, but I wasn't like,
Yes.
I didn't get distinctions with my maths and science. I got B's.
Yeah.
And yeah, most of my subjects were, I did get a few A's and then a few B's and 1 or 2 C's. But as I said, in terms of Air Force and maybe other bursaries, as much as I actually show you now in the next slide, as much as academics are great, they're great to get you like into that maybe interview or
yes.
but it might not be the only thing that, so because I once heard someone say I got distinction for maths and science but they didn't make it. So as I said, it's not just that, because there's so many other things that they look at besides your academics. So I don't want people to think just because they're not getting an A or a B for maths and physics that then they're not gonna hack it.
But do you think that that's one of the reasons why you got the scholarships? I think a lot of people here obviously are African leaders within the aviation industry. Do you think it's easier to get scholarships with good grades, or does it not matter?
I would say with the degree, they would probably look at that because it's all studies, you know. But also with this degree, it was it wasn't, I would say if it was more like engineering, they would probably be a bit more strict. With this degree, it doesn't require maths and science. So but obviously looking maybe at your matric results or your previous results, it is a good indication of how well you do in academics.
Absolutely,
but also,
absolutely.
As I said, in the flying field, with flying, they will look at it to get you at the interview. But then what if you get there and other aspects are not really, it's not really what they're looking for, you know?
Yeah.
Because what if your hand-eye coordination is not so great? Because with flying, it's academics, but it's also actually another skill that unfortunately, sometimes you can only know once you're there or during the testing. So that, as I said, it will help you. Definitely, you must work harder in terms of getting better marks, but still give it a shot and then see. With flying, it's because of the subjects mostly that you go study it at when you go right at CAA. So those methodology, those flight planning, navigation, they require like a background in maths and physics. And obviously, if you didn't do those subjects or if you didn't do so well, you might struggle a bit with them. So, and also in flying, you need to understand. I mean, you're flying in it's like a 3D. You know, you need to understand
environment, 3D,
the environment. Yeah, you need to understand. For example, when you're going to descend, you need to understand kinetic energy, potential energy, because obviously when you descend, you're losing altitude maybe so that you can get more. So you need to understand those different, and with that you need a background in physics and then in maths, because in maths you also do calculations, how much fuel you have on board, how much fuel you're going to need from point A to point B. And so I think that's why it's needed with regards to flying.
All right.
And
wow, we've actually,
oh my gosh, I must have
continue. Sorry.
Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, the last slide that I wanted to share with you guys. So high school subjects to choose in high school, it's maths and physical science. So a minimum is level 4. That's to apply for the Air Force, and I think some bursaries also minimum is level 4. But then if you have a level 5, it might give you an advantage over someone else. So but then it's a level 4 because you need an understanding, but they look at other things. And then how to become a pilot, there's 2 routes. I took the Air Force route. I explained how that goes. And then the flying school is either self-funded or bursary, but it's so expensive that I'd advise try to get a bursary, you know, try to get funding through TITA, through Airlines, cadet programs. I think Ruth is coming up. She'll share how she got in. And just lastly, not to waste time, what are the different pilots license? You get a private pilot's license, commercial pilot's license, an airline transport pilot license. That's the highest obtainable one. That's the one where to fly for an airline, you can have a commercial pilot's license, but it gets a bit competitive and they want sometimes more experience. So you could get in with a commercial pilot's license, but most major airlines want you to have an ATPL. So it's a good thing to just strive towards that. So yeah, that's the end if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Refilo. This was incredible. I think the other thing that sort of made us go a little bit over time is all my questions. I think for me as an individual, I'm still in shock. I mean, one of the questions from the chat box was, how do you manage it with all the things that you're doing, time management? And you just mentioned that you just got married. So now there's also the family aspect of it. Wow, I'm going to link up with you definitely on Instagram. I've got so many questions to ask you.
Of course, of course. There's my Instagram and my LinkedIn. Feel free, please send me an inbox. I'm always happy to share.
We'll definitely do. Oh, wow. I'm so inspired, actually. Thank you so much for giving us your time and sharing your amazing, amazing journey with us. I think I need to find other words to describe how amazing your journey has actually been. Wow. I don't think I've ever come across anyone who's been fully funded throughout their entire aviation journey. And thank you so much for, again, opening my mind and mind blowing me. Wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Palesa.
You're welcome. I hope you enjoy the rest of our show, eh?
Yes, of course. I'll be tuning in.
Cheers then. Thanks. Yeah, we have Ruth Ngomane. Thank you so much, Ruth, for taking the time to actually join us. Just waiting for a bio. Some comments from the chat box. This is incredible and very inspiring from Puti. Ruth Sindisiwe Ngomane is an airline cadet pilot. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the fact that Ruth is currently flying for Fly SAF Air. And her bio basically says that how she got into aviation was through God's grace. Ruth, tell me a bit about yourself. Tell me where you're from. I know Abongomane are Swati. Are you Swati as well?
Yeah, I'm Swati. I'm from Nelspruit originally.
No ways!
Yeah.
That's crazy. I've got family in Nelspruit. I've actually got a distant cousin, Owagangomane, on my side of the family. So wow. We're sisters, not just in aviation. Yeah, you can go on and tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into our Q&A that we had prepared already.
Okay. So, hi everyone. My name is Ruth, as said Ngomane, and as I said, I come from Nelspruit originally. Right now, I'm based in Joburg due to work reasons. Don't really want to work in Joburg, but anyway. Bit of a background about myself. I have a degree in biology and biochemistry.
Wow.
Kind of ditched that for aviation with the help of my mom, trying to get the house. Other than that, yeah, I started flying in 2013. I was actually in the same intake as Cynthia, same Ugani Aviation bursary.
Wow.
So we actually also worked at the same flight school as well.
Lovely. Oh, wow.
So did a bit of instruction for about 2.5 years before I started my cadetship program at Fly SAF Air.
Tell me something. At what age were you when you realized that you really wanted to fly?
Flying was not an option for me. Like to tell the truth, I think based on the location and Nelspruit, there's not much aviation going on, so there's not much in that regard. So it wasn't something I ever thought about until when I was done with my degree, looking for a job. My mom was like, "Okay, fine, you quit your honors. You're not gonna sit home and do nothing. You're gonna look for a job.
You need to do something.
Life, I'm not gonna continue feeding you, So we would buy newspapers every Sunday, and she was like, "Don't just apply for what you studied for." So she was like, "If you find it says matric, if you qualify, just apply,
Take it, yeah.
So I started applying. Sometimes I didn't even know what I'm applying for, just as long as I can see if they respond, investigating what it's all about.
Go for it.
So yeah, that's how I got the Ugani Aviation bursary thing. And they called me up and he told me it's in Joburg. I was like, I've never been to Joburg. It's so far from home. So I was a little bit about
and chaotic. I mean, from Nelspruit is very laid back and very relaxed. And now you're moving into an environment where it's just busy all the time.
So busy. So yeah, but then I applied. They called me, I think, after a few days or so, telling me it's Bugani Aviation. I didn't even know who the heck they were. I was like, okay, fine. Spoke to my mom. The Holy Spirit gave me a go ahead. Said, if you want to take it, you'll get the job if you go for the interview.
Yeah.
And then I went. And luckily, there was a lady that I knew who was staying in Kempton Park that I was with. And so she kind of helped accommodate me, give me transport to go for the interview. And I only found out what aviation means on the interview day. So I really like when there were some couple of guys who were there early in the morning, you know, and now we're talking about how the whole interview. I really didn't know anything at all. I didn't know what we're coming to do. I thought it was just a person-in-person interview, but I didn't know about the company. So the guys that we were with in the morning were the ones who were telling me about, oh, you know, I've always had a passion to fly. I'm like, fly? Like, what are you talking about? You know?
What are you talking about? What are we here for?
Like, what are we here for? I don't know what I'm here. So that's how it happened. So went through the interview. I was like, okay, let me give it a try. I mean, my mom said, just do something with your life, you know. Went to the interview, all the processes. It was in a couple of days, kind of interview. I passed the interview. Within the interview, they asked me some aviation questions about Boeings. I'm like, what is a Boeing?
What is that? Wow.
They could kind of see that this one is clueless and then like change the question, you know, so as to But then, yeah, we started the training. I'd say on my intro flight, I was like, you know, when we off the air, I'm like, and in the air and we start flying, I was in my mind, I'm like, you know what, I think I need to go tell them that this is not what I wanted to do with my life.
This is not what I came here for. Yeah.
This is not what I came here for. I cut out for this and stuff like that. But the only thing that was discouraging me not to do that is because we had a training bond and now we have signed it already. So I can't.
Ooh, yeah. Can't turn back.
I can't turn back now. So I was like, okay, you know, I had to talk to myself, talk to my mom about it, pray about it. And then I just found peace. And I just fell in love after that, really. And
wow.
I don't think I would have gotten myself here. It's just the grace of God. And from there, it's just
grace. I mean, just listening to your story, I'm again awestruck. I can't believe that the panelists we have on our show today. I'm like having to explain to someone the way you got into aviation. I mean, a lot of us get into aviation. You heard Rufilwe said she got into it at the age of 7. I got into it I was interested by the age of 5. And then with you, it's a completely different dimension altogether, where it's like, you know what, I woke up and I found myself in Joburg. I wasn't even there for something I knew was what it was about. And the next thing, I'm flying. And it's incredible, your story, because now it takes you back to a dimension where it's just like, you know what, if God wants to place you where God wants to place you, he'll put you there. It doesn't matter what the situation, it doesn't matter what's going on, and you just need to put your faith in it. I mean, like you just mentioned, you didn't know some of the questions, you didn't even understand what it was about, and look at you now, you're flying full of fly, Safi. I mean, what? You know, and that song that says, when Jesus says yes, yeah, no, absolutely nobody can say no. Nothing's gonna stop you. Nothing's gonna ever prevent you from getting to where you need to be. I'm really proud of you. I'm actually super, super impressed. Yet again, I actually want to cry. Like, what? And I mean, knowing Fly Safi, I don't know if you don't mind giving us the demographics within Safi. How many Black pilots are there within your company?
I don't think we're more than, sure. I know there's 2 Black. There's 1 captain and one and 1 first officer.
Yeah.
And 4 cadets. So I think
so it's yourself, Nkululeko, the other one, and 2 others.
Yeah, so it's me, Litabo, who's here as well, who's joining us.
Yes.
Me, Nkululeko and Tony. So it's just 4 of us. So we've added a bit of the company, you know, bit of color.
Well done, Ruth. Well done. You know what? Honestly, I know for a fact that I needed to speak to you because yourself and the other panelists have really sparked in me something that I almost thought I was losing with aviation. Because I mean, you go into it, myself personally, like I said, I'd always wanted to be an airline pilot, and I've been in the industry since 2014. And who has it been challenging? There's challenges every corner, every opportunity. It's just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? Why? And then you come up and you're like, listen, sis, God just placed me here. And when I initially read your bio and you said it was God's grace, I was like, what is she talking about? But you're literally, you're hitting the nail on the head. Like you're the epitome of God's grace speaking to us right now. And continuing with the challenges, what do you think some of the challenge or realities you face as a pilot that you never imagined yourself experiencing?
I might say, maybe I concur with most of the other guys who spoke. There's a lot of training, a lot of, I think I didn't like the element of it.
I can imagine.
Like every now and then you have to go for some check and you have to prove yourself.
Yes.
Especially now within the airline industry, you know, as Rufilio said, is that you have to do a check every 6 months.
Every 6 months, yes.
Every 6 months, and you have to pass it, you know. And it's I don't know. I think I never thought it requires so much studying and so much work behind the scenes and always being on point, on par. But on the other hand, I also see it as a blessing because it keeps your mind busy. You know, you never idle.
On your toes, yeah.
Toes. So yeah, the training, because we started the initial career in aviation started in 2013. So only like 2.5 years back did I start working at Cefe. So it was a very long journey, changing schools, working as an instructor and stuff. Also a lot of irregular hours. I mean, when I was an instructor, I could kind of plan my day. I know what I want to do, when I want to do. I know when I want to be off. Now my life is being planned for me. So that's that. Now you're told, okay, this is when you're flying and this is how late you're going to come back from work and stuff like that. The irregular hours and long days really sometimes, depending on how many sectors you've been booked for. But I think it's the same things as the other guys said. It's just a lot of training for the same time.
There's just one last question I need to ask you as we're sort of running out of time. Sorry guys, my baby sister's there in the background, another girl in aviation or hoping to be in aviation. She's been wanting to show on the screen, so I'm just going to give her 3 seconds of fame. And yeah, like I was saying, we're sort of running out of time. I didn't want to cut you off. I have one more question to ask you. Do you ever wonder if aviation is the right career for you based on how male dominated it is?
Yeah, I mean, to come to think of it, most career paths are male dominated. I think depending on where the past comes into play, where most of the time women are in the kitchen and stuff like that. I think all industries could concur. Maybe one or two, like maybe teaching and maybe nursing, could say that it's not male. So for me, it's not really. It's like a no-brainer.
Not a factor.
I never feel like because I'm a woman, they treat me more different. Sometimes I feel like be a little bit more gentle, but no, you know, they treat everyone at the same bar.
Yeah, it's
the
same,
The same standard they expect from my male counterpart is the same standard they expect from me. So I don't think gender, for me personally, plays any role at all. So but the thing, it would be great to see more women coming into the sector and becoming pilots, you know.
Absolutely. And Ruth, tell me if our audience has any more questions to ask you, are you able to contact or communicate via Instagram? Are you comfortable sharing your Instagram handle? Should there be any other questions afterwards?
I'm not really active on social media.
No, that's fine. No. I can tell you're a relatively shy person, so I won't jump that on you. That's okay. Thank you so much, Ruth, for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll give my details to you guys at the end of the session if they do want to contact. But when it comes to contacting me on Instagram, I think maybe it might be quicker contacting me personally because I don't.
All right.
Media, yeah.
Not a problem. So would you be sharing your email address then?
Yeah, I'll share.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Please do share your email address. And thank you again for sharing your story on grace. I mean, this session with you has not only been about a girl in aviation, but it's been more about faith. You really opened up a new dimension to it for the rest of the panels as well. Since I've spoken, we haven't really spoken about the segment of how faith plays a role. We've discussed the passion, we've discussed the odd hours, we've discussed the information that you need to learn, we've discussed how, for a lot of us, it's an environment that we weren't really exposed to. Like you mentioned in your conversation that you're from Nelspruit, there's not much aviation going on in Nelspruit. And then you brought in a dimension that I feel should be very important to all of us. And I'm hoping a lot of the people watching are Christian or maybe not necessarily Christian, but do have a relationship with God where they can, go to God and actually sit down and say, is this the right path for me? Am I in the right direction? And just get guidance from the Spirit. Thank you again so much, Ruth, for wow, and yet again, an ever amazing conversation. I really appreciate it. I don't think I have the words to actually describe how humbled I am to have spoken to all the ladies this morning, all 5 of you ladies. Thank you again to African Leaders in Aviation for helping me become a moderator this morning. And that's it from me. We're going to take another short break. Would you like to add anything, Ruth, just before we close off our segment?
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I think it's a very wonderful platform that is being created, and hopefully it's going to reach more people and more eyes as well, and it just doesn't end in Zoom, and we're able to reach people who don't have the exposure. I mean, like I said, for people who stay around Joburg, I think it's an everyday thing. They see an aircraft,
Yes.
Yes, there might be obstacles, but to continue exposing young girls to this wonderful career. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into another short break. It's about a 12-minute break. We'll be back at 11. Gilio is going to take over from 11 o'clock. I hope you enjoy this short break. And thank you so much again for joining me this morning. It's a Saturday morning at 9 a.m. We could have been doing a whole lot of other stuff, but you chose to be here with us, African Leaders in Aviation. And thank you for holding the space as well. Thank you so much for joining us. And that's it from me. I shall be joining in for the rest of the festivities. Enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. Cheers.